Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to beautiful Clipper Magazine Stadium for tonight's game with the Staten Island Ferry Hawks. It is Foodie Tuesday night, so you can get an order of shrimp egg rolls on sale for $5 at the Broken Back Craft Beer Deck. Tuesday nights, by the way, are Silver Stormer nights presented by A&E Audiology. It's not too late to purchase a Silver Stormer package. If you're interested, stop by the sales table in Section 11. And once again, we welcome you to Clipper Magazine Stadium.
All right, let's do the pump up. 3, 2, 1.
This is video to bring them out.
Okay, we're just waiting for the cue down there. Well, they come out at the same time they should.
They're running out.
Up there early. Here we go.
Oh, okay. Go.
Here we go.
Hit it.
All right, fans, it's time to bring them out, your Lancaster Barnstormers. Joining the team on the field tonight are members of our Field of Dreams team presented by Giant, members of Conestoga Valley Youth Baseball and Softball.
Look at how many kids there are.
They look like little ants, don't they?
They'll never get them off the field in time to start the game. Look at the ones running to the outfield.
And they step on the line, obviously.
Nobody knows that rule.
Yeah, they don't know that.
Step over the line.
Right,
Yeah.
step on the line. It's
Yeah.
bad for the game.
Exactly. And nobody tells them. All right.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please stand as we honor our nation and its flag with our national anthem. Here to perform our national anthem this evening, please welcome Stephen Alexander.
Hi, I'm Diane Dayton, and we are coming to you live right now from the fabulous Clipper Magazine Stadium. We are obviously out of the studio because we had to come here, because the question everybody's wondering is, where do the retired DJs go? Well, they go to the baseball field. And with us right now, we have Tom Richards, we have JW, and we have Fuzzy. I can't think of a better crew. What do you think?
Well, Curly, Larry, and Moe.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, with the Three Stooges. But the interesting stories are how we got here. And I think we should start with John.
I know, because he's been here since about day one, haven't you?
Been here since day one. I was sitting here one afternoon. They said, we're going to build a baseball stadium for the new team. And they said, would you object to just being here and we'll build around you? And I said, go for it. And that's what happened.
Wait.
No, just kidding.
Back here, by the way.
Just kidding.
See, they're all going to talk at the same time. This is, what it is.
Tell a true story. When they had auditions for the announcer here, I was going to do it. I was going to try out. I saw John's name and I said, nope, I don't stand a chance.
And yet, the man does a great job filling in for me. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, here's the thing, too. Let's just give a little bit of background with you guys in radio, since we're talking about retired radio guys. Where you came from? Let's start with you, JW.
The oldest.
I'm the oldest, that's right. Not necessarily the best looking, but I started in 1971 at WLAN AM 1390. My name was J.W. Whitney, and that was Bob Detry's hire, and he said, I like that name. I've always been a fan of J.J. Jeffries in Philly, so how would you like? I said, sure, that's fine. So I was WLAN for a number of years, and then in the early 80s, I moved to WDDL, which now is WLPA.
Or was.
Was WLPA, yeah. That's when I first met Tom Richards, and I worked early evenings there, 6 to 10, and he came in at 10 o'clock. Except on the nights he had his bowling night. Then he called me and said, would you cover for me till I get there? I said, sure. So a couple of years there, and then I wound up at WIOV Country Radio and Z107, and that's where I met Fuzzy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that in a nutshell is what happened.
So how many years were you in radio?
Let's see. I was in radio consistently about 16, and then I was off a couple of years. And then a guy I worked with when I was at I-105 WIOV, he was on the AM side, WGSA at the time, Eric May. He and I got to know each other very well, and he got wind of Blue Ridge Cable starting up a sports talk show. At that time, they were just running advertisements, and they said, we can do more with this station than just this. So he got together with the manager at the time, Bob Miller, and presented this idea. And Eric said, sure. And Bob said, just get somebody to work with you and we'll get it kicked off. So Eric called me from our days in radio, and that's how we started Blue Ridge Gig in 1990, I think, and I was there till 2012.
And that's how it happens, doesn't it? It's these connectors, and I know you know that.
Well, my connection started back in college, back in Millersville, when I met Terry Kyle. Terry Kyle was doing part-time radio, and I would shadow him. And one Sunday night, after about 6 weeks of shadowing, he turned on NBC News and he said, okay, do you really want this job? Do you want to work part-time, 6 to midnight on Sunday only? I said, yeah, I do. He said, the boss is listening. You're on the air for the next hour. This is your audition and your application. And I got the job. Now, some of us have memories about the first production that we did. My voice has been a lot of places for a lot of years. But the first production I ever did, I remember, was 2 words for the King Theater. Starts Friday. That was it.
The tags.
Yeah. So I worked for WLPA. I was one of the voices on WNCE back in Nice 101 days, transitioned into the Rose, and saw it end with Fun 101.3. The station was sold, and I did 44 years in radio.
But his biggest claim to fame is being Santa Claus on the radio every Christmas.
Oh, boy.
You? No, but you were on Santa Claus.
Secret's out. Now, okay, please blur this picture.
Well, I'm here talking to little Diane. We'll see what she gets for Christmas, depending on whether she's good or not. Well, I've read the list about you, Diane. I'm not even stopping by your house.
I think you got the wrong list.
But the right girl.
Well, there's one other person that's been in radio longer than either one of you two, and he's the newest addition here. Fuzzy.
Yes.
Known to a lot of us as Fuzzy Summers.
Right.
Give us your background.
Well, I started at WHYL in Carlisle, then Z107, where I was there 17 years, then 96.1 SOX. All that adds up to 47 years.
That's unbelievable, especially in this business, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing, yeah. So.
And I mean, you've been really consistent about this. You were always on the air somewhere.
True, yeah. I needed the money, so had to do something. I mean,
why did you say radio if you needed the money?
Fuzzy and Tom, to a certain extent, are familiar with how it was way back when and how it evolved to how it is today.
Oh
and
my
it's
gosh.
big time difference.
Let's talk
Big
about
time
that. I mean,
difference.
when I started, we were slip queuing 45s.
Right.
And we had big old turntables this big.
Yeah.
You'd click
Yeah.
the switch. You'd have to pull your commercials
Right.
every hour. Nothing was computer run. You did everything by hand.
And if you and the jock in front of you got along well, he would pull your first hour for you. And that
If.
made it easy, right?
If. Somehow I'd always forget to do that. I don't know why.
The studios were different then, too.
Sure.
You'd find magazines underneath the turntables that you weren't supposed to find. People would smoke in the studios.
I remember that.
Nobody smokes in studios anymore. I remember we had a morning guy, Lou Rogers. He was a smoker. So one day before he came in, we put smoke detectors all around the studio during the Great American Smokeout. And he couldn't light up during his show at all.
That's another thing about this business. He'll mention a name, and I'll say, yeah, I worked with him. So it's like one big circle,
It is like a big family, isn't it?
Yeah.
It truly, truly is.
Without a doubt.
All right. Now, sometimes people wonder some of those crazy, funny stories that go on behind the scenes that we can actually say on the air. Do we have a funny story or something really amusing that might have happened at a space and time?
I have one.
Oh, I figured.
One that really stands out to me. Back in my days at WLAN, I was on the air, and at the time our control room was the highest room there. Then we had production room, and then we had the newsroom, which was also the FM studio. So I think it was a Saturday afternoon I was on the air, and Rick Lewis, name from the past, was in the doing production. And he came out and was listening to the story. John Grady, who's another former disc jockey at WLAN at the time, back in the 70s, John was doing news. And he got to a news story about a fire in a local area. Rick could not resist. Rick went over behind him, got his cigarette lighter out, and lit the copy on fire. And John Grady, with a straight face, is going like this, reading his story, trying to get through it, and we were absolutely dying. I can't even remember if he got through it, but that's my funny story.
I'm telling you, there were things that you could get away with in radio because of what it was. Right. And, you know, radio being theater of the mind, you know, allowed for so much for us to even do in production and to create different images.
Exactly.
And I think all of us enjoyed that aspect of radio, too, didn't you?
Yeah, you get a chance to sell a product that you don't know anything about. You get a chance to create something new every day, which was the neat thing about radio itself. You never knew what you were going to do on a daily basis. And I always said, you could pay me $45 to make widgets, but I'd be bored to tears. I'd rather get a 30-second piece of script and create something. You never knew what you were going to do on a daily basis. And that, I think, is what drove us all to stay in the business. The ability to be creative, the ability to deliver, whether it's a character or a commercial or an entire show, until consultants got involved.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I always enjoyed too, and I was on with FM 97 and WLAN in the mid-'80s.
That's where you and I met.
Yes, where we met. And what believe it or not, I enjoyed doing the cancellations. I know that sounds crazy, but people I knew were listening. And it was important.
I did was Winter Watch.
Yes.
I hated the cancellations.
Yeah. We made a contest out of it one year.
Did you?
I was working with Tom Shannon on the Rose.
Yeah.
And we were the only ones that could get to the station. My little LeBaron will get us anywhere. So we showed up and we said, okay, if you can call us and identify how many times we say the word canceled, you'll win a prize. It was 200 and some times that we said it, but we made a contest out of it. But that was the neat thing. We often talk about what radio was, to where you went with your gut. You went with just the talent you had. You went with the people you worked with. And it just worked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
For the today, in my opinion, and I do a lot of radio listening, both radio and satellite radio, except for maybe morning slots, the personality has been removed from radio. And that's what's so disappointing to us veterans in the business. It's gone. Yeah.
And I know you experienced a lot. Is there any type of story you can share with us, whether it's production or on air or out seeing the public? I mean, we had Z-Bear and all that other fun stuff.
Z-Bear.
Well, the great Dandelion, remember her.
Oh, absolutely.
And the story was, when I went in there Saturday mornings, I always followed her. She would leave the record playing, and she'd be out the door. In fact, I would come in, and she'd be leaving the station. It's like, where are you, Dandelion? What are you doing? I get in there, and the record would still be playing about, maybe a minute left, but I had to get my act together very quickly. But that's Dandelion. That's what you did, yeah.
That was called living on the edge in case you were running late.
Yeah. Saturday mornings, I always ran late. Always, yeah.
It's a Friday night.
Yeah.
What's these things, behind the scenes that I think people who haven't been in radio always find really interesting and intriguing, because it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
There were times we didn't really feel like we were working because we were having fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with each other and with the people who would come.
The three of us have talked a number of times since we've been together here, and that's the big thing that we miss now in radio, if we would still be in, is all of that camaraderie. You don't have that anymore. No. And the personality was injected in every time slot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what made it cool.
Well, here, I think that's what you create here, that camaraderie that you have, and that energy and the fun that you have. So let's tell everybody exactly what you do. So, JW, your position here entails what?
Yeah, I am the stadium public address announcer here at Clipper Magazine Stadium. When we come in, we have a pregame show that we do. Generally 25 minutes maybe. That includes starting lineups and first pitches and national anthem and all that. Nasty fly. Then we get into the game itself, and what my position is from that point on basically is announcing the batters for both teams that come up to the plate. And then at the inning breaks, we share it with, there's about three of us that share it. The on-field MC, myself, and the canned stuff here, whether it be a live spot read or whatever. And, of course, I'm involved with pitching changes and all of that other thing. And then we wrap up the game at the end with the line score and wish them all a safe trip home and see you next time.
All right.
That's basically it.
Okay, so that's it. And what do you infuse into this, Tom?
Anything that you hear comes from my computer, whether it's the starting lineup music, the come-out music, or whether it's the effects that I use to annoy the opposing team. Some smart aleck.
Oh, that's perfect for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hit one. Somebody was ejected the other night, and I played Stewie Griffin. Said, "Well, that's about it for you. Pack it in. Game over." And he turned around and stared at the press box. I like to look at myself as the 10th player. I not only speak for our fans, but I speak against the visiting team. I try to demoralize it. One time York was here for a playoff game, and I switched the pregame music to some love songs. And a couple of their batters actually came up and said, "I'm falling in love with my shortstop. Please play some rock and roll."
Let me add something to that story. One time we had a team in here, I forget who it was. The player's last name was Jones.
Oh.
And Tom's walk-up music for him was Me and Mrs. Jones by Billy Paul. He turned around and stared at us. I tell you, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. So that's the kind of thing we can get away
On
with.
the other hand, there are players who have left our organization that come back. What's the guy who used Vladimir Frias?
Frias. Yeah.
Frias. He has a song called Couffet. And he's always been a class guy. Every time he comes to the ballpark with his visiting team, we play his walk-up music for him. And he always turns and salutes and appreciates it. And these players, for the most part, are class acts.
They get it.
They
get
really
what's
are.
going
They
on.
do,
Yeah.
right?
But every player picks their own music, their own walk-up, their own warm-up, and that's my responsibility.
Okay. Wow, that relates so closely to things that you've done.
This is the DJ in me. Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
We work so well together because we've done it for 40 years, roughly.
And you play off of each other really well.
we do.
Yeah.
We really do.
So you were brought in recently, right, Fuzzy?
Yeah, to clean bathrooms, basically.
And then you've moved up rather quickly.
I did to clean up our act.
I'm a rookie this year, so I'm just kind of learning the behind-the-scenes stuff. Ryan's very helpful over here. I'm doing things like the score on YouTube, doing some of the switching between cameras. I've always been an audio guy, never video, so this is all new to me, and I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that is good.
He's doing well.
Yeah,
He fits in well with us.
yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
And we have these radio war stories we're constantly
Right,
telling each other.
right.
So,
Constantly talking.
yeah,
Constantly.
yeah.
We'll
all the time.
sit back between innings, and he'll be back there in his position. Tom and I are talking, and I'll say, "Remember that fuzz?" And he's laughing. Yep, I remember.
Or we'll say, "Who sang that song? What year was that? Do you remember that label?" I don't.
Somehow radio gets infused into everything we do here.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're amusing, to the people that come, but you guys definitely amuse yourselves. And
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
you
for
really-
sure. We
really are
laugh so
doing it.
hard in this press box.
And there are little things that happen back here that I think the public should be aware of to listen maybe next time. What is it? Sometimes you'd forget to pull the mic down and
Well, the way the system works here is my master mic here. I keep it on the stand like this, and I always turn the mic on. Keep it on because a couple of years back, the on-off switch got stuck, so popped, and that sounded bad to us.
Yeah.
So we kept it on, and then we used the slide control on the master board for the volume and the microphone. Number of years ago, we had a catcher on the team whose last name was Apodaca.
Bless you.
And that's what we always did. Whenever I said that, turned the mic off, I would say that, and he'd go, "Bless you," or somebody else would go, "Gesundheit." One time, me, being the goof I am sometimes, forgot to drop the slide control, and the mic stays on. I announced it. I announced the name. Together, he and I said, "Apodaca." And it went out over the air, and I said, "Oh, geez, here we go." I slid that down. It does happen. It does happen, yeah.
like crazy things that happened in radio. That still happens here too.
Oh, sure.
I
Yeah.
remember the story of Rick Lewis and two switches. There was an old control board in the old DDL studio. There were 4 red switches on the right that sent the audio to the transmitter.
Right.
Our engineer was living in New Holland at the time. Rick could not get the station on the air. Could not for the life of him. He was out of his mind. He called the engineer, who drove all the way in from New Holland, flicked 2 switches, and walked out.
Didn't say a word.
Nope.
It leaves me almost speechless.
That was Rick.
Wow. So what has it been? I know we're still young in the season.
Right.
But this has been a great camaraderie. It's been great with the people that are coming out. It's a lot of excitement. There's so much going on this season, isn't there?
There really is, and the fact that we have been doing this for so long. I've been here since the beginning. Tom's been here since the 2nd year. And plus we've worked with each other in radio, so we know each other so well. We know what to expect, what to do. And it shows, I think, in the show. Even though we're here working the show, we try to present an image where we are fans sitting down in the stands, and how would I like to hear this? And that's how we approach a whole game's atmosphere. And it really pays off, because what is really gratifying is, and this is not a braggadocious remark at all, it's just a matter of fact, occasionally their fans come up that are visiting from other places and say, wow, we really enjoyed this production tonight. We don't get that where we are. And that's really gratifying when you hear that kind of stuff, because it's over the top sometimes, we think, and yet the average fan's listening, hey, this is really cool. And that's what we're out to do.
Well, the one favorite one that we use this year is from Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever there's a foul ball and the runners advance and they have to return to their bases, I've looped the tail end of Titanic, and it says, come back, come back. Come back!
Yes.
Come back! And the crowd, they laugh.
They do.
Or
They
we
laugh.
use Homer Simpson. Boring.
Yeah. The sound bites are just, I mean, all these years later, I still laugh at a lot of them, because they're just so good.
Right. So do you think eventually they're going to let you talk?
I doubt it.
That's true. We have
the
been
best.
We have been mumbling on, haven't we?
No, but
Fuzzy,
I mean, even during a game,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I try to take as many bathroom breaks as possible, so I know Fuzzy
Okay,
will come
so
up
then
and
we know Fuzzy will come over
for
and
me.
cover
Yeah.
for you with the bathroom breaks too. I'm telling you what, you guys make it so much fun. And it's because you also enjoy each other. You enjoy the sport. You enjoy the community.
That really is a very accurate statement. That is exactly, I think, how all three of us feel. Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's just fun at the ballpark,
It is.
right?
It is.
Yeah.
We look forward to coming here.
We do.
We look forward to, because we never know. It's like radio. You never know what's going to happen on any given night.
Right.
But I have like 1/100th of a second to decide what I'm going to do.
Right.
And if I do it right, he'll laugh.
Yeah.
Or if he goes to talk and I want to do something, I'll say, wait.
He does that. He says,
and
wait, and he does his sound bite. Okay. They don't ever hear that. I do. It's okay. But it's cool. Or sometimes I'll say something and he's starting and he just holds up till I'm done, then he slides and it still works. So
I think at some point there should be some sort of giveaway, perhaps for a fan to spend at least an inning up here with you guys or something.
that has happened on occasion. We have had that happen. Yeah, I don't know if there's plans to do it this year or not, other than the
I
fact
don't think
that
that would be torture.
They have to control themselves.
we do have one of our promotions in the fourth inning of each game is sponsored by Hershey's Chocolate World, and it's called the mini of the game, the miniature. We get a little kid up here, anywhere 4 to 10, somewhere in
As
that
long as they're not
vicinity.
shaving, we get them up.
Right. And they sit here, and the first thing they go is, wow, this is a nice view. And what I do is allow them to announce the Barnstormer batters for that particular inning, and all of them just love it. He allows them to push buttons every once in a while, what he does, and they have a big smile on their face. But we do have occasionally adults come up here, and they do spend an inning or part of a game with us, yeah.
Well, it's good training for your replacements 50 years from
My
now.
list is growing like this.
Some of these kids are really good. It's
they are.
amazing. Yeah,
They are.
They
I
are.
bet they are good.
Yeah.
Well, I think you guys are really good. And I think this has been wonderful to catch up with you, to share a little bit about your stories, your background, and that sort of thing.
It's been great.
So
Thank
I
you.
think when anybody comes, you can come up here and say
Absolutely.
hi.
You bet.
You can
Way to
see
go.
these.
Yep.
Uh,
And we get a lot of that.
what did you call yourself? The three?
Three Stooges.
Well, okay, I figured I'd let you
She,
say.
she didn't want to say it.
The lower third underneath us will read Curly, Larry, and Moe.
Exactly, yeah.
Thank you so much for making it so much fun here at Clipper Magazine Stadium for the Lancaster Barnstormers. We'd like to say thank you for joining us today, too, and we hope to see you out at the ballpark. I'm Diane Dayton, and behind the lines, keep looking. You might be surprised what you find.